The best advice to a small business owner, or for that matter, a large business owner, is never stop thinking about how to delight your customer.
In this one, I look at some of the advice from people in the top of the business world about how to run a small business. If you guys are new to the channel, I've made tons of videos on the businesses I run. Some make thousands per month. Some have even pushed 5 figures per month. So if you haven't checked out the videos, check them out. Right now, the business I'm trying to start is a YouTube automation. I'm really interested in that. It's definitely a tough one and a struggle. And each piece of advice in this video, I'm going to react to with some real life advice from me on these multiple businesses I've started. And I'm sure I can relate some of that to what I have going on. So let's get into this one.
Not to satisfy your customer, but to delight your customer. And when you wake up in the morning, start thinking about it. During the day, think about it. At night, think about it, and then dream about it. And no company's ever failed that had millions of delighted customers. And you start with them and you get them one at a time.
All right, so a crucial piece of advice there. No company has ever failed with millions of delighted customers. I think kind of an obvious statement there, but definitely it is important to take care of your customers and make sure they're happy, because you're not going to get repeat customers if you're selling a product and they're not happy with the product. With me, my biggest business right now is a paid Discord, and it's on a membership charge per month. So obviously, if they're not happy after the first month of paying, they're not going to re-up for the next month. So super important in my business. This one almost every month is doing 5 figures. So it's my biggest business right now. I've made videos about it on the channel, but the churn rate is super important. If you're getting 200 people to join per month, but 190 people are leaving every month as well, it's going to be really hard to grow that business and the company. You really need to get 200 people in there per month signing up and less than 100 leaving the next month maybe, or even less. And people just think the number of signups is important. So would you rather have 200 people sign up per month and 150 of them leave every month, or just 100 people signing up but have a bunch of satisfied customers, so only 10 of them are leaving every month, which is going to leave you with a net gain of 90? So you got to think about that, not just selling, but keeping those people happy that you've already sold to.
There's no substitute for hard work. The best time you're ever going to have is when it starts out just you. And it'd be great if it grows into a wonderful, big, profitable company. But you're never going to be happier and more satisfied than you are in the first year of getting your business going, because you do every single thing. You sweep up when everybody goes home. You're the first one in. You plug in the coffee pot. So when your people come in, they have hot coffee and can get straight to work. Work through lunch, set an example for them. But there's no substitute for hard work. People say luck, yes, but the harder you work, the luckier.
All right, definitely good advice, working hard. I don't think that is groundbreaking advice to anyone, but one thing that he said there that I really liked was doing everything yourself, at least at first. And I think that's super important, especially in YouTube automation, if that's where you guys have come and found my channel from. I think it's super important in a YouTube automation channel to do everything yourself, at least at first. See what it takes to build a channel from zero to monetized, and then from monetized to making thousands per month. And once you know what it takes to do, you're going to know what you need to hire for, what you don't do as well as you could be, and then you can notice quality work when you do hire people to run that automation channel, and you can make even better videos than you were making yourself, and you know what they're worth.
My advice to a small business owner or any entrepreneur would be not to be discouraged if the business you end up with is not the one you started out to pursue, because so often you encounter difficulties, you encounter failures, and the important piece is to learn from each of those very quickly and to pivot and to move on to the idea that works.
All right, great advice. You can definitely relate that to a YouTube automation channel. When you first start out, channel like for me, I'm making extreme sports videos, but the skiing videos in particular have been doing better. So I've kind of leaned into doing more of a ski central YouTube automation channel, and it's really paying off. So good advice there. Another business that I can relate that to is my e-commerce business. So I was selling mostly shirts and sweatshirts and apparel, and I thought that's what I wanted my e-com business to be. And it was pretty good. I was making $1,000 to $2,000 in profit per month. But then when I discovered adding in new print-on-demand products, the one that really stood out for me and did the best was prints. I was making way more per sale, higher margins, and I took that business from $1,000 to $2,000 per month to up to $5,000 to $6,000 in profit per month by just adding in a new product and pivoting and focusing on that because it was working. Don't be afraid to add new things and try new things within your business that could have paid huge dividends like it did for me.
Of course, you have to be close to your products, close to your customers, and think about them. That's the most important. But don't forget to think about your business, what your plans are, what you want to do next, how to take your business to the next level. Again, think about being in your business, but think about your business as well.
Going back to the last example of my e-commerce business, I could have just been satisfied making 1 to 2K per month, and I basically grew it to a place where I didn't have to put any work into it at all, but I kept trying new things to try to take the business to the next level, and it definitely worked. And you always got to be thinking about the next step ahead in the business, or else it's going to stagnate, and you could be happy with it where it is and stagnating at 1 to 2K per month. But for the more successful entrepreneurs and business owners, they're going to keep thinking about how to grow the business to the next level. So you always got to be thinking about that.
My best advice is to really work hard to clarify what your purpose is, and be able to articulate that, be able to communicate it in a simple sentence. And the reason that's important is as you bring people into your company, I think the most important question you ask them is, why are you here? Why do you want to join this company? And if you hear that purpose back, if you hear that passion around that purpose, it makes everything a whole lot easier. Any skill can be learned and taught, but passion cannot.
Okay, well, I didn't know Jack Dorsey was going to be in this, but pretty cool to hear from him. But his advice here is kind of more about hiring people and trying to create like some kind of company culture. For most of us here, we're trying to just start our business from the ground up. A lot of us are solopreneurs, similar to myself, where I just hire mostly contractors. So it doesn't necessarily apply to me 100%, but something he did definitely say applies to me, and that is trying to define your business in just like a sentence or two. And I think that's super important. And if you can't do that, maybe it's kind of not a great business. It may not work out in the long run if in a few sentences you can't describe what your business is, what your goals are, how are you going to get there. So I think that's what we could take away from Jack Dorsey in this one.
Being an entrepreneur can be a roller coaster ride at times. You will have great days. You will have not so great days. You may even from time to time have an awful day. You've got to stay focused and stay level-headed and keep your feet on the ground.
Yep, definitely relatable and real advice here. Some days with your business, any business that I've started, some days you make hundreds of dollars in a single day. Some days you make $0 or even lose money because you're running ads, paying contractors, things like that, but you can't get discouraged by some bad days here and there. Everyone has them. Even if you work for a regular company, you're going to have bad days. But with entrepreneurs, it's different because those bad days you're making no money. With working for a real job, you should be like under contract, under salary. Even if it's hourly, you're still making the money, but can't get discouraged with that from entrepreneurs. Definitely something that I've dealt with.
Companies that do well at some level, even though it may not be written down on a piece of paper, need to have kind of a clear strategy of why they're different, why they're adding value, why they're producing something special that customers need and that they're not getting now. So I think if there's a clear sense of strategy and you can get all the people aligned around that, then you get a lot more power than if you're just scrambling and working harder and harder and without that clear direction. So that's my one piece of advice.
All right, definitely good advice. It relates back to YouTube automation. When you're starting an automation channel, basically you want to find other channels and see ones that are going viral, getting a ton of views. That's what you want to emulate. And then you got to make sure there's not too much competition. And then also see how you can take their videos to the next level. Because if you just copy their videos and don't make them as good or just as good, it's possible you won't go viral. But if you're taking their ideas and building on them, that can possibly take them even more viral. That's what you want to do. And that's similar advice for any kind of business. That's how I got my top business right now, making around 5 figures per month. Is I saw a guy running a similar kind of business, and honestly, he actually asked me to help out with his business. And then when it got to a point where, I couldn't really help him anymore, I decided that I'm going to run a very similar business, but I think I could do it a lot better in this way. And that's what I did. And I took his business and I'm basically making way more with it because I did it better than how he was running it. So that's going to be my final piece of advice. I really enjoyed this one. Got advice from a bunch of top business people in here. So I was surprised by how many were in here. If you like this kind of content and video, check it out on the channel. Also check out the different videos of me making money online. Subscribe to the channel and we'll see you guys in another one.